Greetings, Japan fans. In today's show, we are going to look at tough love for leaders. Maishu, arigatou gozaimasu, and welcome back to the 7th year of the Leadership Japan series. I'm your host in Tokyo, Dr. Greg Story, your corporate coaching and guide committed to your success, president of Dale Carnegie Training and the best-selling author, Japan Sales Mastery and Japan Business Mastery. We are broadcasting around the world from Minato-ku in the center of Tokyo, the leadership capital of Japan. Now, this podcast brings insights, examples, and experience about leading in Japan, and trust me, it is different here. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn. Unlike many other hosting organizations, Libsyn have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here's the daily lineup on iTunes. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Tuesday, Presentation Japan series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Touches in no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, Leadership Japan series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcasto. Fridays, Japan Business Mastery Show, and Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Before we get going any further, today's handy Japanese phrase is Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo. I was only joking. It was a joke. Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo. You know, you're with your friend and you say something and they get upset or they look at you or they start to wonder about you. You say, Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo. Now, this is where foreigners and Japanese find that they've got completely different senses of humor. And as an Aussie, I never found any match between the Aussie sense of humor and the Japanese sense of humor. Completely different planets, different galaxies, in fact. Always a problem when you mix that up. But if you do say something ridiculous, and they're looking at you, you just say, Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo, Jodan dayo. This is episode number 389, and we are talking about Namby Pamby kids today and tough love leaders. Years ago, I inverted the pyramid and promoted the best salespeople to become the branch leaders. The existing branch leaders were shuffled around to new branches, and they provided the grey hair and the credibility needed by the older, rich clientele, but didn't have responsibility for driving revenues anymore. They were moved because if they had stayed in the same branch, they would have undermined the authority of these upstarts recently promoted. The revenue generation responsibility was shifted from guys in their 50s to a 60-40 mix of younger guys and gals, taking the average age down to 35 years of age. It was a revolution in Japanese retail banking. Not all made the transition from selling to leading, but most did. This was the American dream brought to Japan. In this brave new world, a young woman could become a branch head at the age of 35. That was previously unimaginable. The impact on recruiting talented, bright kids out of the best universities was profound. We were bringing on board young people who were incredible, and they chose us over the bigger, more powerful competition because they saw a new future here in Japan for themselves that hadn't existed before. There were many reasons for instituting this revolutionary change, but one of them was a generational divide between the older male branch leaders and the younger people they were responsible for. Like me, they had all grown up under the tough love school of boss supervision. When this is how you were raised in business, it's extremely hard to break free of that and try something unfamiliar and different. The intentions are always good and were to make the younger staff better. The issue had become the style of communication to achieve that. Straight talk, for many in my generation, means tons of critique, criticism, and maybe even verbal abuse. That is we got from our bosses, so we are passing it on down the generations. The younger people today, though, have a lot more options than we had. They have compliance systems, staff surveys of bosses, and a fundamental change in societal attitudes working in their favour. The demographic decline in the numbers of young people means there is a strident war for talent going on as companies try their best to find enough young people to hire. The young are a finite resource in a sea of strong demand. That changes the power equation substantially from when I was a kid. We were all assured we were quite disposable. In the modern era, criticism has to be replaced with words of encouragement. Bosses have to adjust their expectations. This sounds simple, but it is confronting. I remember once calling one of my younger staff, and I left a message, call me back. There had been some internal staffing changes, and I wanted to assure them that everything would be fine. I also wanted to gauge how they were feeling about the changes. No call back. But later, I did see a text message to my phone that said they were not mentally ready to talk with me yet. Find out more. We come back from the break. Today's show is brought to you by our public courses, but we also do custom in-house programs. We do these in our Super Safe classroom. We do this live online. We do it in Japanese. We do it in English. So today's show is sponsored by, on the 11th of December, in our professional leadership series, Problem Solving and Decision Making. Also on the 11th of December, Adjust to Change. On the 18th, another one in our professional leadership series, this one on planning. Our website is at enjapan.dalecarnegie.com if you'd like more information on those courses. Or you can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. If you like learning by watching videos, we've got over 1,000 for you at Japan Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 TV shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's a premier business show in Japan, comes out every Monday. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show. Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders from SMEs all the way up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget, get my books, Japan Sales Mastery, that's the Bible for selling in Japan, and Japan Business Mastery, both available on Amazon. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but for someone brought up on tough love, that statement seemed so soft, indulgent, entitled, namby, pamby, no guts, and divorced from reality. I tell you, I had fire and sparks coming out of my ears and eyes immediately. I read their message. I was furious. I could never imagine I would say such a thing to the president of the company if I were a junior employee. If the president left a phone message saying, call me back, then I'd drop everything and make that call as soon as I got that message. We lead a different generation today. In their mind, there's no problem with brushing off the president because they weren't ready to have that conversation. I eventually spoke with a staff member and accommodated some concerns they had, and all was good and resolved for them. It wasn't resolved, though, for me. Maybe I should have just left it, but I couldn't. I had to address their phone message to me. This person was talented, and I didn't want to lose them, so I knew I was walking on a tightrope. My tough love upbringing had their immature, naive, stupid, unacceptable comments stuck firmly in my craw. I told them quietly, calmly, but firmly that if they ever got another message from me to call me back, and they should do so pronto. If they couldn't manage that, then they should find another president to work for. They could do that easily, by the way, because they are in the zone of high talent demand. Where do we draw the line today, though? I know the way I was raised in business wasn't the most ideal and that I am a hangover from a bygone era, but I'm still here and still leading. How much crap do we have to put up with from this younger generation? I would guess a whole lot more, certainly more than we anticipate or want. There is no finite answer, but clearly our method of communication is going to have to change. It has to become much more nuanced than anything we have ever experienced from our bosses. I will try to keep principle 17, number 17, in my mind. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Also, principle number 8. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. And I will definitely follow principle number 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. If I can keep the fire and sparks within me from burning the whole thing down, then there may be hope for me yet. Thank you for joining the Leadership Japan series. If you found the program useful, then tell your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. You can contact me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Go to our website, enjapan.dalecarnegie.com. Until the next episode, take what you thought valuable, put it into action, because idea application is what makes winners winners, so be one of them. Remember, I'm your corporate coaching and training guy committed to your success here in Nippon.